Well, welcome to the Never Too Late Academy podcast. It's been a while since we've done a podcast. We do this for members, and we may have some people joining us live at times as well while we're recording with a question or two. But we want to produce content that's helpful to the 365 members of the Never Too Late Academy. So, welcome to you. This podcast is about a very important subject, a subject that's really, I think, relevant to all of us. I know certainly to me, it's about sleep. I'm delighted to welcome Manisha Mirchandani, who's a lifestyle and wellness coach. And I've given her a new designation, sleep expert as well, because she's the one who's going to talk to us about sleep hygiene, which is a term I've never heard before. A little bit of housekeeping before we start. Please check out all the courses on the Never Too Late Academy. Sign up for the newsletter if you haven't signed up for it all for it yet. My latest book is out, Dare to Dream. I'm delighted to say that Dare to Dream, which was published a few months ago, has been shortlisted for the Business Book of the Year Awards in the UK. Came as a complete surprise to me. That's pleasing to me because it means that the book is resonating with fellow Never Too Laters. Well, that's enough housekeeping. I'm on a boat in Okinawa, and Manisha, where are you?
I am currently in Yokohama, about to board a plane to San Francisco. So it's great to be here in Japan together with you, Lowell.
Well, and you're very much, let's put you in context a little bit. You're very much a global soul. In all transparency, I've known you and Kush, your husband, and the boys for a few years now, but you seem to migrate naturally across oceans and across borders, and you have more than one place you call home. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely, Lowell. Yeah, we've had a really long-standing relationship, and I think that you have watched my family move internationally from here to there to the point where people often ask where we are now. Yeah, so we have two homes. One's in California. One's currently temporarily. We are living as expats in Japan. So that's where I am now, heading home for the summer. But I think we can do a whole nother podcast on settling into different homes in the future. I would love to be a part of it.
Absolutely. And I noticed in your home, and one of the things I love about your Japanese home is you have your dog with you, who has the same name as my middle name, Ramsey. So
Okay.
people may see Ramsey walk in and out. I've seen him a couple of times in the pre-podcast time. So sleep, particularly for those of us who travel a lot across time zones, sleep in different beds. Um, Sleep is important to all of us. And give us an overview of what you're going to share today.
Sure, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me here today. I think sleep is such an important foundation of our health. So I always like to start a talk about sleep by putting everybody kind of in a moment. So, just imagine that it's late at night. You've had a long, productive day. Maybe you've traveled, you've been at work, you've prepared dinner, you've done house chores, and it's time for you to lay your head on the pillow. But the thing is, your mind begins to race. The thoughts of the unfinished tasks, the worries, the what ifs swirl around your head. And that precious gift of sleep seems elusive. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because that feeling of tossing and turning, watching the hours tick by, and then when you finally drift off, it's only to wake up repeatedly, never truly resting. So for many of us, it's a familiar story. And Lowell, you talked about the travel and living in different places, and I completely understand what that means. So today we're going to talk about why sleep matters, what's going on with people and their sleep. And then we're going to get into some actionable steps that you can try tonight to get better sleep and learn how to do that consistently over time.
So you gave me the title for this podcast, Sleep Hygiene.
Yeah.
Unpack that word hygiene in the context of how we get a better sleep.
Yeah. So, basically, sleep hygiene is a set of properties, practices, and habits that really are conducive to sleeping well and sleeping well on a regular basis. So this might be a little bit different than, being in a jet lag mode or, having something really a different kind of weekend out of your normal weekends. but this is about these practices these small little changes that you can make throughout the day and into the evening that can actually get you the quality and the quantity of sleep necessary for your mental, physical, and emotional well-being. So good sleep hygiene can significantly improve your sleep quality and overall health. 4 areas, like I would say, and we're going to dive a little deeper into them. We're going to talk about some daily habits, things you do during the day, optimizing your bedroom, which is extremely important, the sleep schedule, and then, of course, my favorite part, the nightly routine. That's going to be our sleep hygiene talk today.
Okay, well, take us through the 4 steps.
So let's talk about these 4 things. I like to start with our daily habits. So I know this is a big, this is the main thing that we talk about all day, right? It's what we do during the day and how that impacts our wellness. So let's talk about how these actions in the day can impact our sleep. So the first thing is staying active. So incorporating regular physical activity into your daily routine is just so important. Aim for at least 30 minutes of moderate exercise. This is like a nice fast walk, doing some real movement yoga, or maybe even a dance session. You have to get your body flowing, your body moving. That physical activity helps to regulate your sleep patterns and improve the quality of rest. Second part of daily habits that I think is just so important is being mindful of what goes in your mouth. So this is especially important for the caffeine and alcohol intake, but also the food. So caffeine and alcohol, especially in the late afternoon and evenings, these can interfere with your ability to fall asleep and stay asleep. We really have to know our own body to know what the alcohol or the caffeine are doing to us. And remember, caffeine is also in other products besides coffee. So you're going to find it in chocolate, you're going to find it in other things, and you just have to be aware of that. Also, opting for herbal teas or water instead is a great idea. So when you have that hankering, there are ways to avoid the afternoon coffee and the coffee slump, which is, again, Lowell, another topic we could always get into. And then, of course, your food. So sleep boosting foods are so great. And I love this as like that last little snack before I go to bed. So things like bananas, walnuts, almonds, honey, tart cherries. These are all foods that actually induce our sleep. And then the last thing is being conscious of your circadian rhythm during the day. So what is a circadian rhythm? These are these 24-hour cycles that are part of the body's internal clock. They run in the background and they carry out the essential functions for us throughout the day. Okay, so these are these 24-hour cycles that we need to be mindful of. So how do we help our circadian rhythm? We need to get, and these are all based on like light, basically. So training our body with that. We need to get plenty of natural sunlight during the day to help regulate our body's internal clock. So this might be challenging for some people that are working in an office or, that have, hours that don't allow them to get outside, but this is just so important. This being out in the sunlight during the day in the daylight is actually telling our body it's daytime. I'm awake. I'm alive. I'm happy to have this day. That's what's telling our body. And that exposure helps us to maintain that difference between what we need at night, which is like when it's dark, when, there's no daylight. We're training our body to say, it is nighttime. It is time for me to go to sleep. A lot of what we do with sleep is really, it's in our minds. It's in our head. When we tell ourselves we're not getting sleep, we don't get sleep. So it becomes a vicious pattern, yeah. So, daily habits, there are several, ways to continue to work during the day to get your sleep at night. And that's just one aspect I like to emphasize for sleep hygiene. Talk about the bedroom, to optimizing the bedroom. Flo, I know you're on a boat, and I'm not sure what a bedroom means on a boat, if it's like a separate space or, how you can, but basically you need to create a sleep sanctuary. And of course, the word sanctuary sounds ultra luxurious, but really you just need to create the space where again, you're telling your body, you're telling your mind that this place, this is where I go to sleep. When we go here, we sleep. So transforming your bedroom into a tranquil, tranquil space, keeping the space clean, uncluttered, and really dedicated to rest. So remove electronics and work-related items, and just create a really calming environment. The second part is lighting. So you really need to adjust the lighting. If your bedroom has too much daylight, as we talked about the circadian rhythm, your body's going to think it's daytime. So I know here in Japan, we wake up early in the summers. The sun rises early and we are up. I don't know how that feels on a boat. It must be beautiful. But using a blackout curtain or an eye mask is a really popular way to block out the light. Consider one of those ways to just keep your room dark and conducive to sleep. Consider using also a dim warming light in the evening to signal your body that it's time to wind down. So if your bedroom lighting is like a bright white light, maybe it's time to change that into a dim warm lighting. And then of course the screens, avoid the bright screens and artificial light close to bedtime. That becomes a little tricky for all of us. We're really busy doing a lot of things on our phones, especially in this kind of day and age. So, just being really conscious of the bright screens. And then of course, maintaining a comfortable temperature. So, how many times do we wake up at night and just like, we're so hot or, cold, or something has disturbed our sleep and it has to do with our blankets coming off or we need more. So, maintain your comfortable temperature, keep your bedroom cool. So keeping the bedroom cool is a lot better for the body. Ideally between 60 to 67 Fahrenheit or 15 to 19 Celsius. That's actually a good temperature to keep our bedrooms at night. And then of course, if you need the blankets to go on top of that, or you can just add them on. Of course, a comfortable mattress, supportive pillows, and breathable bedding. These are also really important. We can do a whole nother talk on how fabrics affect our wellness. And, that's a whole nother conversation to have. So again, another way that you can make small changes to just get better sleep.
My sleeping space is a tiny space. And when I crawl into my bed on the boat, it's like I've crawled into a room. Everything it's like a capsule hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And that really induces sleep for me, which makes me uncomfortable. It's been a while since before the pandemic where I've been in a large hotel room, but I kind of find it hard to sleep now in a big space. Is there any studies related to the size matter?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if there are any studies, to be honest, but I do believe that we create, we're all very, as I go through these, I know that our bodies are all very different. And, sometimes the size of the room is not as, we can't really make a decision. Like we don't have a lot of options maybe sometimes. So I would say that just using the size that you have and creating that into what you need. I know we could think that like a small room might feel more cozy and maybe that's more conducive to sleep. Maybe you can get it darker. Maybe it's easier. Maybe there are less windows, so I can see how the small space could be more conducive to sleep. But I think in a large space, things can be done to make the room conducive to sleep. So sleep schedule. So first thing is consistent bedtime and wake time. Now we do this with our little kids when they're born, right? We give them consistent bedtime and a wake time. They know, their body knows when it's time to go to bed. So going to bed and waking up at the same time, even on weekends, this is a hard one, that consistency helps regulate that internal clock that we have and improves our sleep quality. Now on the weekends, I will say you can't always get it exactly like you do on the weeks because the weekend may not be the same as a weekday, but again, trying to do your best and not really going really off your consistent schedule. And again, these are just guidelines. If sleep is your priority right now, then if that's your priority, you will make the change, right? We do what we need to do. So the next one is limiting naps. So napping can be really beneficial to our body to rejuvenate, but no longer than 20 or 30 minutes. And of course, no avoid that napping late in the afternoon. So just keep it kind of like early afternoon. Maybe a lot of people like to nap after lunch because they've had a big meal and their body is busy digesting food and they're tired from it. Again, another conversation to have about how to eat foods that don't get you tired. And then just try to not make them long or, irregular, so that your every day is different. If you're a napper and you need a nap, maybe it goes into your schedule. And then I will say with all of this is the gradual adjustment. So if you really need to change your sleep schedule, do it gradually. Adjust your bedtime and wake time by, 15 to 30 minutes each day, and get to where you want to be, get to the ideal for you. Some people love, like there's a book called the 5 a.m. Club, and there are people that are very early risers. And so of course their schedule is going to be very different. They're not the late night. They're going to have to get to bed at a certain time to be able to hit that morning goal of theirs to get up at 5 a.m. or whatever time. So again, just if you want to get to a certain point, if you have a goal in your life, then you can get to that. Just, if you can't change it all overnight, it's nice to do little baby steps on the way.
What's the range of optimum sleep times?
Yeah. So I was going to get to that, but I will
Okay.
talk
Okay.
about it now. No, that's okay. That's perfect. I love to talk about what we need to hear, right? So the quantity, so I'm going to talk about how much quantity of quality sleep do we need. So there is a difference between the quantity, which is the amount of hours, and the quality, like how well do we sleep during those hours. So I'm not going to go through all the different age groups, but I'm just going to say, like, for example, a newborn needs 14 to 17 hours of sleep per day. And that's what they need for their body to, do the processes that they need to grow and to, develop and things like that. As they go into infant and toddler, it goes down by a couple hours. By the time we get to young adult, which is, 18 plus, about 7 to 9 hours is good. That's a good amount of quality sleep to help the body. And then when we get a little bit later in adulthood, between 7 to 8 hours is usually like a very good number and a recommended number to, have like a good next day, basically, to be able to function and mentally be aware the next day.
That makes sense to me. You just hear some people like Margaret Thatcher. I remember she could sleep on 4 hours a
Yeah.
night and go weeks like that.
Yeah. And again, like, I mean, we can't, like, those are really outliers, to be honest. Like, we need to, if we're finding that we're waking up not rested, if we're, have brain fog during the day, if we're really stressed, if we're gaining weight, if there's a lot of emotional, all the emotional, physical, if we're having issues in our body, they very well could be related to not enough sleep. So maybe that's when we need to make the change. And when I coach, when I work with my coaching clients, that's what we do. We just look at a lifestyle, and then we continually try to improve on that based on the individual needs.
What tips would you have, Manisha, on like how do you stay asleep? I totally get what Aparna said about you wake up and then the brain gets activated, and
Yeah.
I'm the same, but it's what wakes me up to begin with. And since I was 12 years old, I've always slept with earplugs in
Yeah.
to protect me against noise. But do you have any tips to how to stay asleep and not be woken?
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely one tip, is to use earplugs. Some people even use the over the head. You can get like mufflers, more like a muffler so that it's more comfortable. That's definitely something to try. I would say that when you wake up with that noise, it's one of those things where you have two decisions, right? You're telling your body to go back to bed, or you're saying, I just woke up and I can't get back to bed. And I did that for years with the kids. Like, I would be such a cranky person going to bed because I just knew I'd be woken up in the middle of the night. Like, I was already telling myself I'm not going to be happy when I wake up. So just kind of training your brain in that, of course, not waking up is what you asked me about, Lowell. And yeah, definitely using the AirPod. Maybe using a sound, like a ambient sound, is a good idea as well. They say, like, if you have like an ambient sound that runs like, all night, basically, that helps from hearing those sharp noises that wake us up. So something like an ocean machine, raindrops, like there's a lot of like music that you can get, like either on an iPhone, or I know there are actual machines that you can plug in that have these ambient sounds. And then, of course, I will say, as an aromatherapist, definitely have the diffuser going at night. have the same oil that you went to bed with, have that running. If the diffuser's gone off, put it back on again, rub the same oil under your feet, rub the same oil on your pulse points, over your heart, and just keep training your brain to say, we are sleeping. This is sleeping time. You're not supposed to be awake. So those are a couple of tips. It's not easy. It takes time, and there's always something that can get us out of the routines that we're trying to set. Bring time for me, to be honest. So definitely have a wind down ritual. So whatever that is for you, kind of a calming pre-sleep ritual. It might include reading a book, taking a bath, practicing gentle yoga or meditation, maybe journaling your thoughts for the day, or listening to soothing music. These are all great ways to signal your body that it's time to relax and prepare for sleep. Second thing is limiting screen time. So we talk so much about this screen time. It probably comes up in every single one of these topics, but avoid screen time, phones, tablets, computers, TV for at least an hour before bed. That blue light that's emitted by screens can interfere with our body's production of melatonin. And that melatonin is actually our sleep hormone. So you can get these blue light blocking glasses, which will help some, but it's never the same as just not having any of the blue light for that last hour. And this is a really hard part. Well, it's these days, right? It's hard to stay away from our phones, but just so important. And then the last one, which is near and dear to my heart, is the essential oils and relaxing with them. So incorporating the use of calming essential oils like lavender, chamomile, or vetiver into that nighttime routine is really signaling our body that it's time for bed. And also, these essential oils have chemical constituents, so they're also working in our brain. They have things like, for example, lavender has linalool, linalool acetate, and camphor, and these all act as anxiety relievers and sedatives. So these components interact with the brain and the nervous system, and then they reduce that feeling of restlessness, agitation, aggression. And of course, when we can alleviate those kind of feelings, then we can sleep better. So diffuse in your room, add a few drops to your bath, apply them to pulse points, just get that ritual that is good for you. For me also, like I like to go, to have a skincare routine. So I have a skincare routine. I turn my diffuser on in my bedroom. I go and change. I do my skincare routine. By the time I come back to my bedroom, it's ready for me for bed. And this is like every single day. So I just feel like I've created that routine in my evening.
And so when you travel to the States, which you're doing later today, you just automatically kick that routine into the new time zone.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I started on the plane, Lo. I start routines on the plane, to be honest. And again, like a whole nother conversation on how to like avoid jet lag, but I try to set my timer, my clock to the time zone I'm going to. And I try, eating is a bit harder because, they serve you on the plane at a certain time. And I think they try their best as well by turning the lights off and giving us a sleep environment. But I do the same. I use my oils. I use some supplements with the tart cherry in there, because tart cherry helps us sleep. So I try to get the sleep in the plane and land in a way where I feel like I've had a good night of sleep. It may not be the exact hours, but I've had a good night of sleep. And it's not always easy. If you fly during the day, if you fly in the morning, it's harder, but if you fly in the afternoon or evening, it gets a bit easier to find your sleep.
So back to the essential oils. I think I was following along everything that you were saying of the way you use them. So could incense, does it have to be an oil, or is it fragrance in the room that matters?
Well, when I'm talking about essential oils, I'm talking more about the therapeutic benefits. So the chemical constituents of a pure essential oil.
Okay.
So as far as incense, I'd probably have to do a little bit more looking into on, does it give off any chemical?
Right. Gotcha.
To help us. If there's a certain aroma it helps you sleep, then absolutely. That is one of your rituals that night, if that is helping you fall asleep. Yeah.
So and the other question on that, and I may have may have missed it or misunderstood it, but you apply oil to key parts of the body.
Yeah, yeah,
So what are those key parts?
yeah. So for sleep, especially, I would recommend applying oils to, you can apply them to the bottom of your feet. So when we
Right.
apply oil to the bottom of our feet, it actually draws in really well into our body and gives us like a full body response. You can also apply oils to your pulse points. That was the other one.
That's
So,
what you said,
kind
pulse
of
point.
your pulse points to
Right.
really calm the body. So for me personally, like some of the places I would say is like on your wrists. I would say along the neck and, even on the back of the spine. I mean, we're trying to calm the body. And what are those areas that, kind of get overworked or we feel that they're moving a lot. So yeah, our arms. I like putting them along my arm because when I sleep like this. So I've got my hand under my head for the most part, and so I am just inhaling those essential oils. So again, just like kind of creating, and I like to do it over my heart as well. I feel like it's calming for the heart. And I'm very much about heart health and trying to help us through using the physical aspects of our body for us, right? So calming the heart down so I can calm my blood pressure, calm everything down. So
Do the temples have any significance?
yeah, you can. I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily for sleep, but they're definitely a tension reducer. So if
Okay.
you're getting like migraines and tension headaches or just feeling sometimes when we're on like screens a lot and our eyes are getting overworked, right? We start feeling it all around. So if that's happening, then you can definitely put relaxing oils around that area. There are a lot of, again, essential oils is like a whole nother class, but they're absolutely useful applied to the body as well as the aroma of it. So, and this is only for very specific oils. So be very cautious of the oils that you're using. They have to be therapeutic grade. They have to be tested for skin and going into and onto the body and things like that.
Hmm,
You can also make herbal teas with essential oils.
right.
You can take, some like the Roman chamomile. You can just make a chamomile tea with a drop of essential oil in warm water, and that's basically an herbal tea. So, yeah.
Okay. You're bringing back memories. My father, I now have a new designation for him. He was an aromatherapist because growing up, and he had one single substance he used whenever we were sick or couldn't get to sleep. He'd bring in the Vicks Vapor Rub,
Uh,
rub it up the
yeah.
nose. It was
Well,
awful.
that's yeah, and I mean, I do everything. Well, yes, that was effective, and the products that are in Vicks Vapor Rub, there's a lot that's good in there, and then it's
Right.
basically a lot that's not good, and we never knew that growing up, but that's okay. We're still here. Um, the thing is that these are menthol, so if you're having like that kind of a feeling or that breathing or any kind of issue, peppermint oil, eucalyptus oil. I mean, you can simply use a bottle of an essential oil and just apply it in the same way and get a really, really pure response. But yeah, I love that your dad had
You just
his
bring
version
in a big
of romance.
wad on his finger and just
Oh my
my
gosh.
nose.
I remember those days. Well, what I do now is I actually make my own version of Vicks Vapor Rub because
Right.
it's,
Okay.
we didn't think about it before, but it's actually really easy to make with a few like very key ingredients. Kind of boil it down, you put it into a jar, and you've got like a natural one that you can, you don't have no problem rubbing it all over everywhere because it's okay for your skin. So yeah.
So tell us where can people go to find out more information about essential oils and the services you offer?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can always be reached. I have my website. It's my name, Manisha Mirchandani .com. And then by email as well, or through the Never Too Late Academy, just reach out to us and we can get in contact. But the email address is OYL with Manisha at gmail.com. And OYL is just OYL is not oil, but it's own your life. So a lot of what I do with my coaching is, basically we want to take back the little things that we've let go or the things that we've lost in our wellness, physically, mentally, emotionally, and just get really solid on those so we can go out and follow our passions and take our trips and reach our goals and get to our dreams. So yeah, my entire intent is to help people feel better on a daily basis. So um, I would love to connect with anybody that would like to explore any of the aspects more.
Great. Well, we'll make sure to put in the description for the podcast in the library at Never Too Late Academy, a link to your website. And before we turn the recording off and return to a even more informal conversation, is there anything else that you want to say that has not been said yet?
Yeah, thank you. I will end on this note. So I said that I want to, I'd like to work with people to help them with their wellness goals, but really like for this topic here and people who are watching this because they are having an issue with their sleep, keep in mind that this is not just you. You're not alone. There are many people that are up with you at night, which is not a great thing, but there are in their rooms. About 55% of people in the US are seeking help with falling asleep each night. And then 45% of those people say that poor sleep is impacting their daily life, so their next day. So, it's one of those things. I would just say, I want everyone to make sleep a priority. This is where our body heals. Journal your sleep. If you're not sure how to sleep, and if you're waking up every day and you're thinking you didn't have good sleep, like, do you really know what that means? Sorry, my dog. Do you really know what that means that you're not having good sleep? So journal your sleep. Take a piece of paper and write it down every morning. What time you went to bed, how many times you woke up, and what time you woke up finally. And then maybe use a bio tracker. Like I have the iWatch, and this tells me how many hours I've slept, and it has some more functionality like deep sleep and things like that. But I like to see that general number of how many hours it thinks I slept. I like that. So yeah, given sleep's critical role in wellness, just making sleep a priority is really important. And then just understanding the importance, because when we think of the dis-ease and the things that can happen when we don't sleep, that's what you want to avoid. I personally would rather put the time in now to get better sleep instead of deal with health issues later because I didn't get good sleep. So I would just say prioritize it. Sleep is not a luxury, it's a necessity, and make it non-negotiable. And then I would just want to say, on our brand theme, it's never too late to get the best sleep of your life. Yeah, and Lowell, I'd love to offer the members of NTLA, a free consultation if they want to talk about their sleep. And I do have natural, the tart cherry, the essential oils, whatever can help people get that better sleep. I'd love to put a package together for our NTLA members. So please let me know if that is something that would be valuable to the community.
Thank you there, Manisha. And just a reminder, everybody, my latest book is available online, a signed copy I can mail you. And also for members only, a recent ebook I wrote called When a Dream Dies, How to Restore Your Passion, which I wrote off the back of a failed attempt across the Pacific 2 months ago, and now having to embrace a reality that may never happen. But yet that goal has allowed me to live my dream. So that ebook is free to all of you. So thanks for your being part of the community, everybody. And Manisha, thank you for the great input you brought us today. You've given me some extra things to think about, and I need to get my hands on some of those oils. So I'll talk to you about that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Lowell. This was great.